Why is Gable Steveson getting so much hate on NXT? Let's talk about that. So, Gable Steveson debuted at the Great American Bash in a match against Baron Corbin. Of course, NXT is putting on pay-per-view events. They're using old names like Great American Bash, No Mercy, and whatnot. Now, if you'll remember, years back during the WWE draft, Gable Steveson was drafted to Raw. I remember this. And then he never made his debut on the program. He made a sporadic appearance, a one-time deal with Kurt Angle. Outside of that, he hasn't been on the main roster. We haven't seen him. He made a WrestleMania appearance outside of that. We haven't seen him on the main roster. Well, they went ahead and decided Gable Steveson needs to go through NXT. Fair enough. Gable Steveson needs to get some time in the ring, needs to get his steps in, so to speak, before he can go on to Raw or SmackDown. That makes sense. But why are the fans not with him? He's obviously meant to be presented as a babyface, but he's being booed. During his match, his NXT debut match against Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, mind you, who fans routinely have booed since his debut for WWE. Baron Corbin is one of the biggest heels in the company today, and Baron Corbin was getting cheers opposite Gable Steveson. The crowd were not with Gable. They were booing Gable. They were cheering Baron Corbin. They had a "Let's Go Baron" chant. They had Baron Corbin chants. And towards Gable Steveson, what did the crowd say? "You're not Angle," in reference to Kurt Angle. Now, Gable Steveson made his entrance in a wrestling singlet and at his gold medal. He's an Olympic gold medalist, much like Kurt Angle, WWE Hall of Famer and Olympic gold medalist himself. There are comparisons to be made. That doesn't mean that fans should view him in the same light as Kurt Angle. And in my opinion, that's tough for Gable. It's very tough for Steveson in the sense that it's hard to fill those shoes. Kurt Angle was not only a natural in the ring, he was a gifted athlete, an Olympic gold medalist wrestler as Steveson is. Steveson is every bit the athlete that Kurt Angle is. In the professional wrestling ring, it remains to be seen. But the biggest thing that Kurt Angle brought to the table was the sports entertainment aspect. Regardless of how you feel about WWE and how they present professional wrestling, sports entertainment is a part of it. Comedy is a part of it. Show business and showmanship is a part of it. And Kurt Angle was a comedic genius. He did not mind having an ass made of himself on live television. Why? Because Kurt Angle was a legitimate badass. He knew that it doesn't matter what WWE presents to me. It doesn't matter if I go out there and make a fool of myself and say things that gets the crowd to laugh. I can go out there and show them that I'm a wrestling machine, that I am the man. I am a main eventer. I am a world championship caliber professional wrestler. And that's what Gable Steveson is up against, in my opinion, is that he's being compared and contrasted to the likes of Kurt Angle, one of the all-time greats. Now, going back to his debut at the NXT Great American Bash event, the only time that fans were with Gable, for a split second they were with him, was when he did the suplex to Baron Corbin, the belly-to-belly into the ringside area, into the barricade. Outside of that, he was largely booed by those in attendance for the NXT Great American Bash event. This begs the question, why are fans not getting with Gable Steveson? Why are they booing him? Why are they so against him? What is the deal here? Now, if you look at his personal life, there may be a reason here as to why fans are upset. In June of 2019, he was arrested with a teammate during his sophomore year in college for suspicion of criminal sexual assault. They were both released because there was inadequate evidence. But the University of Minnesota, where he was wrestling at the time, did not lift those suspensions on the two until about 6 months later. That could be a reason as to why fans are not entirely with him. I don't think that is the sole reason, but could that play a part in it? Absolutely it could. I think the biggest thing that is going against Gable Steveson is something I touched on previously, is it has to do with the comparisons to Kurt Angle. And he will never be Kurt Angle. There will never be another Kurt Angle. It doesn't matter if you bring in 10 Olympic gold medalist wrestlers to professional wrestling. They will not be Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was something special. He was a once-in-a-lifetime athlete and a once-in-a-lifetime performer. You won't get those two bundled up in this rare package that Kurt Angle was. was. It's not to say that Gable Steveson cannot perform in the ring or that he can't perform on the mic or do these comedic backstage segments. He just won't be able to do both at the same level that Kurt Angle did. So for me, fans need to lower their expectations when it comes to Gable Steveson. Let him develop and see where it goes. Don't judge him right out of the gate. He's got a lot to improve upon. Now, if you want a reason as to why Gable Steveson is being booed so much during his NXT debut and probably will continue to be booed as long as he is a babyface, I have a theory. And if you disagree with it or you have another answer, be sure to let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. But here's what I think. Do you remember when Kurt Angle debuted in WWE? He was the Olympic hero. He was the Olympic gold medalist. He comes into WWE. They think he's going to be a white meat babyface that gets the crowd going, that the crowd can't get enough of. They'll cheer for him regardless. And what happened to Kurt Angle? Do you remember? He got booed. They didn't like him. They thought he was cocky. They thought he was arrogant or whatever have you. Whatever explanation you want to give, he got booed as a babyface. So what did WWE do? They eventually turned him heel. It wasn't working. They thought it would. They decided that, hey, Kurt, you're getting booed out there. Let's go ahead and turn you heel and make something of this. Eventually, if this continues for Gable Steveson, WWE, NXT, wherever he is, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, it doesn't matter. They're going to be a position where their back is against the wall. Creative. Their back is against the wall, and they're going to have to decide, what do we do with Gable? We can't just have a babyface going out there and have a heel, the likes of Baron Corbin, who is the ultimate heel in WWE. Fans love to hate him. He never gets cheered. I can't remember a Baron Corbin match where he got cheered. It doesn't come to mind. This is the one match that I can see throughout his entire tenure with WWE that Baron Corbin was cheered from start to finish. Gable Steveson relentlessly was booed. Unless Gable somehow, someway, with the right story and charisma, etc., can somehow win over the crowd, I don't know what you do aside from turn him heel. I just don't know. I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. Fans are comparing and contrasting him with Kurt Angle, and if you'll remember Kurt Angle's debut in WWE and his initial run, he was booed when he started out, and they turned him heel. He became a big-time heel, played into the audience booing him, and eventually turned back into a babyface. That's how it worked with Kurt Angle, and I think that's how it's probably going to have to work with Gable Steveson. So let's hear from some minds in the professional wrestling business. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter wrote this about the mistake WWE made with how they used Gable Steveson in his debut. He said, the debut of Steveson did not go well. Steveson was booed, not intensely at first when he came out. So it wasn't that he performed badly and was booed. The booing was there from the start. There was a "Let's go Corbin" chant. The fans cheered Corbin, the guy put in the position as Steveson's first opponent, because he's an established star and because nobody cheers him. Obviously, it was a mistake to debut him here, and Shawn Michaels said it was his call before the match. There could be a number of different reasons for this. It could be that fans see him as getting preferential treatment because he was an Olympic gold medalist, as compared to others they believe have worked longer and harder and didn't make the card. It could be a allegation against him, with charges later dropped when he was in college. Athletically, it wasn't as if the match was filled with missed spots or anything. He technically was better than most in their first match, and the post-match pull-apart was actually quite good. The ending, a double countout, was booed heavily. I guess fans would have cheered had he lost, but they've got so much money invested in Steveson, so obviously didn't want to beat him. But they didn't want him winning either, so they picked the worst of the three options. Now, the preferential treatment argument is a good one to make, and I think that ties in with the presentation and the bringing in of Gable Steveson to NXT, where fans are just not going to take to him. They realize what is going on here. Okay, we got another Olympic gold medalist. He's Kurt Angle light, so we're going to boo him. And I think that is the crux of why fans will not get with him. Now, Booker T, WWE Hall of Famer, was there at NXT Great American Bash calling the match. He said this on his Hall of Fame podcast about the fans booing Gable Steveson for his in-ring debut. Hey man, they booed that boy out of the building. Baron Corbin was a big baby face. I'm on the fence with this kid, Gable Steveson. Steveson. I'm not bought in. If I was a jury, the verdict would still be out, because the kid has 1 foot in, he's got 1 foot out. These fans, man, are rabid. They want to know if you're here to stay, man. They ain't looking for no part-timers. We aren't looking for guys who just want to hang around and look good. No, you have to get in there and show me something, son. And you know what? You better do it quick. He ain't no Kurt Angle. You know what? Kurt Angle came in and he was willing to really fall in and dive into learning this business. Not that Gable Steveson isn't, but I really think Gable Steveson has some unfinished business still left in the amateurs. I still think he got unfinished business in the Olympics. That right there, that's a legacy in itself. For him to be a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, come on. That's the Wheaties box. He's never got to do anything ever again in his life, so I understand. Now, Booker makes a great point there with fans being uncertain of Gable Steveson taking this seriously, whether or not he's a part-timer in the professional wrestling business, and more specifically in WWE. That could play a part in it as well. More than anything, I think it just has to do with his presentation. Like I said, Kurt Angle had the same problem when he debuted in WWE. I don't think it's any coincidence that WWE is running into the same issue when trying to debut Gable Steveson. But let me know what you guys think about this. Why is Gable Steveson being booed in NXT? Why are the fans not accepting him? What do you think the reason is for that? Be sure to let me know in the comments. That's all I've got. I'll see y'all later.